Rodri could be on his way out of Manchester City, and the club he could join is none other than Barcelona. Barcelona have already made a second offer for the Spanish midfielder, but Manchester City don't want to let their star go cheaply. And now, one question is taking over the transfer window. Will Rodri really leave Manchester City and return to Spain? Rodri isn't just another midfielder. He is one of the most important players Manchester City have had during their dominant era. He became the player who gave City's midfield control, balance, and stability, and his importance became even clearer when he helped Spain win the 2026 World Cup. Rodri was also named the tournament's best player. So naturally, Barcelona aren't trying to sign an ordinary player. They're trying to sign one of the best midfielders in world football. And there's another reason this transfer has suddenly become possible. Rodri's contract situation. He is entering the final year of his Manchester City contract. That puts City in a difficult position. They can try to convince him to sign a new deal, or they can sell him now rather than risk losing control of the situation later. Barcelona already have talented midfielders, so why are they pushing so hard for Rodri? Because Rodri fits exactly the kind of midfielder Barcelona want. He can control the tempo of a game. He can protect the defense. He can receive the ball under pressure. And most importantly, he already understands Spanish football at the highest level. Barcelona also have a very important reason to strengthen their midfield right now. Frenkie de Jong has suffered a knee injury that is expected to keep him out for several months. That makes midfield depth even more important for Barcelona. And instead of simply looking for a temporary replacement, Barcelona are looking at a player who could become the center of their midfield for years. But getting Rodri wasn't going to be easy. Barcelona made their first move, and Manchester City rejected it. The first offer was around 45 million euros, or roughly 38.5 million pounds. City considered that far too low, and their message was clear: if you want Rodri, you'll have to pay much more. At that point, many people thought the transfer might be over, but Barcelona didn't give up. Instead, they came back with a much bigger offer. Barcelona's improved offer is reported to be around 60 million euros, or approximately 51 million pounds. And this time, the situation is much more serious. The offer is much closer to Manchester City's valuation, but there's still a problem. More recent reports say City want around 70 million pounds for Rodri. So Barcelona and Manchester City are still separated by a significant amount of money. Barcelona could potentially use add-ons and bonuses to make the package more attractive. So this isn't simply Barcelona offered 51 million pounds and City said no. It's a negotiation, and the next offer could decide whether this transfer becomes reality. Here's where the story gets even more interesting, because the biggest factor might not actually be the transfer fee. Could be Rodri himself. Reports indicate that Rodri has a preference for Barcelona. He has reportedly shown interest in returning to Spain, and that changes everything. Manchester City don't necessarily want to lose him, but if Rodri wants to leave and the right offer arrives, City may eventually decide that selling him is the best option. And there is another Spanish giant watching the situation: Real Madrid. Madrid have also been interested in Rodri, but Barcelona are now trying to move ahead of their rivals. So this isn't just a transfer battle between two clubs. It's potentially a battle between Barcelona and Real Madrid for Spain's World Cup winning captain. Now comes the biggest problem for Manchester City. What happens if Rodri actually leaves? You don't simply replace a player like him overnight. City have already been preparing for different midfield scenarios. They signed Elliot Anderson from Nottingham Forest for around 116 million pounds, and they're also close to a deal for Lille midfielder Aya Bouati. But City are reportedly also considering Chelsea's Enzo Fernandez as a possible replacement if Rodri leaves, and that would be another huge transfer. Chelsea reportedly value Fernandez at around 120 million pounds. So Rodri leaving could potentially trigger an entirely different transfer chain across Europe. But don't assume Rodri is definitely leaving. Manchester City still have reasons to keep him. First, he's one of their most important players. Second, he's still only 30. And third, City don't want to weaken their midfield just to collect a transfer fee. That's why their asking price is so important. If Barcelona don't meet their valuation, City could simply say, no deal, and Rodri could remain at Manchester City for another season. Remember, he's already in the final year of his contract, so City have to balance two things: keeping one of the best midfielders in the world, while also protecting the club's long-term plans. So right now, here's where the Rodri transfer stands. Barcelona want him. Rodri reportedly prefers Barcelona. Barcelona have increased their offer. Manchester City want more money, and Real Madrid are still part of the wider story. But Rodri has not officially joined joined Barcelona. The two clubs still have to reach an agreement, and that's why the next few days could be crucial. If Barcelona increase their offer enough, we could see Rodri return to Spain. But if City refuse to lower their demands, the World Cup winning midfielder could stay in Manchester. One thing is certain, this is no longer just a transfer rumor. It's becoming one of the biggest transfer battles of the summer.